Let's see what happened today. Hold on. Okay. CPM Singleton. Where's my prompt? Is it this? Okay, yeah. I so this earlier today I said, do you guys know what these arrows denote? And I looked at it, I was like, is this what a singleton looks like in a UML? So I just asked chat. I was like, what is this? And chat immediately was like, yeah, this arrow denotes a singleton. And I was like, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
I thought it was static at the beginning.
Well, I mean, it does illustrate a static reference to a single instance. But anyway, so I sent it this. I sent chat this. Students said that they had received an OOP design challenge in an interview for making a parking lot. Above is a sketch that I created for them when they asked me to solve the same challenge. They also provided this one piece of information. I think the parking lot question said that you have spots that are spaced big, medium, and small. And small and medium cars can fit in medium and big spaces. Medium cars can fit in medium and big cars can only fit in big. And then I asked it, can you expand on my image by providing concrete definitions of each class respectively? It went on this yeah. It actually just started freestyling. So this is the solution it came up with. I didn't like it because I was like, that's not even what I had in my sketch. So I just skipped past all this shit, and I was like, would you like? Oh no, I said like this. I gave it just this piece because I figured really all it needs is to know the classes. And for Castro who's driving, the classes again are a cell, and a cell has a status, a parking cell, a parking row, a parking matrix, a parking column, a size class, an actual size enumeration. There's three enumerations within the size enum. There's the small size, the medium size, and the large size. And each of those enumerations takes an argument of an integer upon construction. That integer represents the number of parking cells that each of these sizes will occupy. Who just joined? Let me see. Dean. Uh, and then finally, we have a car, which takes an argument of a size. And so I gave it those classes, and I just repeated the same question. Student said they received the OOP question. Da 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 da. Can you please expand on the image above? So then it actually started generating things correctly. It did a good job at breaking down all the components. Cell represents a unit in the parking grid with a status available slash occupied. Parking cell, a cell with a size small, medium, large, and has the ability to check a fit for a particular car. Parking row, a row in the matrix composed of multiple parking cells. Parking column, a vertical slice of the matrix, optional, may be used for column-wise search. Parking matrix, a 2D grid that manages parking logic across rows and columns. Size, an enum, has three enumerations: small, medium, large. They define the sizing logic. And then finally, we have a car. Each car has a size and tries to park in a compatible parking cell. Okay. So it fleshed everything out, blah, 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 blah. Does a really good job. We'll come and we'll look at the code in just 1 second. Yeah, I think I asked it to explain things so that I could speak to you guys on it if you needed. Mm,
So I got a question.
yeah.
So when you come up across like any problem, uh, would it not guess it'd be better if, well, I guess which is what we did yesterday, or what you did yesterday, is you kind of wrote down your ideas and what they were, and then you prompted.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's exactly what we see here is that, we wrote down, we thought about the problem space. We didn't know too much about the problem space, but that's part of the that's part of an OOP design project. It's supposed to be a little bit ambiguous, and you're supposed to figure out how to create a flexible system that should accommodate all things. Later on, at the end of all of this code generation, it said future works, and one of its future works that it mentioned was a ticketing system where it has timestamps that keeps track of when a parking cell is occupied and unoccupied. And I thought that was actually another smart thing to account for here that we didn't account for. Um, but anyway, uh, we'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, when it expanded on this idea and it came down to the size class, I believe, size, I was displeased with its definition of size. So let's look at it and let's see why I was displeased. And you guys tell me, what do you think about this definition of size, and why do you think that I was uncomfortable to accept this? For Castro, who's driving and can't see, it's a public enum size, which has three enumerations: small, medium, large. There's one method declared. It's a public Boolean can fit method, which takes an argument of a size representative of a parking cell size. Anyone have any critiques on this?
Uh, shouldn't the Boolean check for a car fitting in a space be the responsibility of the parking cell rather than the enum?
I consider that also. I consider that also, but I don't mind this here. I don't have a qualm with that actually. Um, and I can show you why later. But try to keep track of that thought so that I can show you later, because otherwise I'll forget.
I was gonna say I didn't know you could literally just say this and compare it to a just give it that.
This is with respect to each enumeration. So there is a small enumeration that we can invoke small dot can fit in, and it'll say if small equals small. There's a medium that we could say medium dot can fit in. It'll say if obviously medium is equal to small, then it's going to return false. And then it'll say if medium is equal to medium, which is true, then return if the spot size is not equal to small, which is going to tell us whether or not it's large or not. I digress on that. What we could talk about enums later, but I just want to talk about why I was displeased with this implementation. I was displeased with this implementation because if we look back at our UML, we'll see what's the difference. Actually, let me give you guys one more shot. What is the difference between what we see here in the size and what we see here for its definition? I will do like this. Come on, y'all. Like, I mean, it's not that much going on.
The only difference I can see is the in the UML side, the n in parentheses alongside size.
Yes. Where should it be? How is it represented? If it's not represented, how should it be represented?
Um,
Well, let me put it to you like this, all right? Take a second, put that to the back of your mind. Think about this issue with the method. Dean, you got something you want to say?
Oh, I'm only half paying attention, but are you going to be using the same enum for both car size and lot size?
Yes. Yes, I will be.
Okay.
Not for a parking cell size though. Not a parking lot. There is no parking lot yet.
Cell size.
Yeah.
Okay. Like a space. Okay.
So my issue with this method currently is what do we do and how do we edit this if there becomes an extra large size that we have to account for?
you have to add another condition.
Not just add another condition, but this middle condition assumes that there's only 3 conditions to check. That means that middle condition would have to account for the new condition to check to see if it's, once we see if it's medium, well, in the case of large, right? Once we see if it's large, we have to check to see, hey, is large larger than or small? I guess it would be one of these motherfuckers we're gonna have to check on. Is it extra large, large, medium, small? Just once you add that 4th variable, this method, let's just do it. Let's just do it.
I think, wouldn't medium stay the same? Because it's only concerned about not being able to fit into small. It would still be able to fit into an extra large. I think large would then need some extra logic to say is this space large or extra large.
Let's see what it looks like once we redefine it with an extra large and an extra small. Okay. Oh shit, that is really elegant. That's really elegant.
Oh, it's using the order that the enum is written in. Okay.
I think I like this one the most. This one, regardless of whatever, they should have just came out with this one straight up.
Just because it scales better.
Exactly. That my whole issue was with the way that it was scaling, and my solution was going to be to attach it to. And my solution was actually if we look at what our original intent was, it says size takes an argument of n. N is representative of the number of cells that it will occupy. So a size small should occupy, we'll say, one cell, medium 2, large 3, and then extra large could be 4, 5. An extra small technically could be accounted for as a small, and a small would then become medium. A medium would become large. The large would become an extra large, and then an extra large could become the extra large in the case we wanted to scale it with an extra small and an extra large, if that makes sense. Anyway, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter, because if we look at the definition that I actually ended up coming up with size taking an argument of n, size taking an argument of n, ChatGPT is correct. Size takes an argument of n. N was 1, 2, and 3. These values are ordinals. Therefore, this could have been written as this dot number of cells is equal to ordinal. And we don't have to take an argument of anything now. But if we don't take an argument of anything here, then there's no purpose in even having this instance variable. So we'll just get rid of that. And if there's no instance variable, we can just use ordinal, and simplify the whole thing. I am a-okay with that. Okay. Let me get back to this, and let's see what the rest of the, yeah, I guess we could just look at the rest of the code. Actually, no, because I wanted to show Castro, and I wanted to show you also, Andrew. Where was I just at? Was it this one? It's this one. Okay. So I ask it here. I say, here's your current definition. I just pasted the current definition. I said each enumeration should take an argument of number of cells, which denotes the max number of cells that each of these sizes can hold. This will clean up our can-fit-in method by using a respective equality operator rather than hard coding against enumerations. And it says, absolutely. By introducing a number of cells field into the size enum, we can make the logic can fit in cleaner, more scalable, and more maintainable. Here's the updated size enum. So it did that, and we just went through why we can simplify it to this. None of this other stuff is too important. Well, this is the way it's used, by the way. We can now say car, small car equals new car of size dot small. or car, medium car equals new car of size dot medium. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, we're ready to look at the actual code now. So this is the solution that we were talking about yesterday. Like we said, we have the size. So I think we're pretty clear on how size works. And size is a good place to start the conversation because at least after we establish all of our needs, it's a good place to start because it doesn't have any dependencies on anything else. It just refers to itself to get its job done. So I think we have a thorough understanding of size. It's independent of everything else. Then we have car. Car takes an argument of a size, and that's the only thing car does apparently. That's fine. Then we have a parking cell, and a parking cell has a size and has a parked car. The parked car is equal to null upon construction. It can check to see if a car can fit in, if a car can park, or sorry, it can park a car, it can unpark a car, it can check to see if this cell is occupied with a car, and it can check its size. Now, that's the parking cell. So the parking row is a list of parking cell. The parking row can take an argument of a list of parking cells upon construction, or it can take an argument of an int representative of the number of columns and a size representative of the number or representative of the size of each of those parking cells. So if you're wondering, hey, can I have a parking row with mixed sizes? The answer is, I'm leaning on you, Andrew, because Castro's driving.
No, because you're having one size passed into the argument there.
Let's see. Check that out. There goes a row with varying sizes. Do you see that?
I mean, yeah, it's making a new parking cell with a different size.
Right, because we have two constructors. One that takes a list of cells and another that takes in an int representative of the number of columns and a size. So that one will have all the same sizes, but we also have the ability to vary the sizes in each parking cell.
Oh, it's just that one method there where it would all be made with the same size. Okay.
Correct. And actually, as I look at this, right, we can actually clean up this definition, this test a little bit, right? Because we could have said, instead of saying this, which they're all the same size, right? We could instead have said 3, comma, medium. And then we could have got rid of that. You can see this one here has varying sizes, so that's good. I want to right click this and I want to see if we run it with coverage. How much coverage do we have in our test cases? Okay, that's pretty impressive. Oh, hold on. No. We've got, oh yeah, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive here. That's basically everything. That means that this is showcasing every use case of this code. Should be. Nearly. Yeah, anyway, we're looking at the parking row. And yeah, so we can see that it takes an argument of those two things. It can park a car. Now, how are the parking cells even formed? Get row. How about get column? Is there a get column? There's no get column method? Because there's no parking column. That's fine. Okay. I want to have questions if possible. I know it's just you, Andrew, so it's like I don't want to like you know overpressure you, but
Right.
what do you think of it? What are your thoughts on this so far?
Uh, hmm.
You've been asked to design a parking lot. This is the solution that I've come up with. What do you think of it?
I mean, I think this is a thorough solution. I mean, obviously there isn't a parking uh, column class yet for that portion of it. But I mean, this seems like a pretty thorough approach.
What do you think about a ticketing system? How would that be integrated?
Like a ticketing system to like mark the occupied cells or
To
something
ensure that
else.
we can track how long each car occupies a parking cell.
So would that then be
I would say maybe even so. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Maybe be.
would it maybe be like an extra field for the parking cell for time?
But you should just make that probably like a completely new class.
What's the class though?
Time. I don't know what to call it. A time and a ticket.
There we go. How about a parking ticket?
Because I mean, it should. Is the class itself going to call each car? Is the class itself going to be tracking the amount of time? And then also, is it going to be calling some? What are we going to have actually something move like a move? But then that's not part of the ticketing. That would be something else, would it not?
Hold on, I'm trying to do it from cursor. We're gonna have cursor generate this parking ticket, and then we're gonna critique it if necessary. Yeah, it's necessary for sure. I don't like it. Oh man, definitely don't like that part either. Goodness gracious. Yeah, we're gonna have to clean that. I don't even know how to prompt it to get rid of that shit.
And I'm guessing this is just like a regular parking lot. It's not like like how JP has the parking lots where it's like multi-level.
No, this one actually does account for that as well. So we have a parking matrix, which is only 2D. But we can make a
Mm-hmm.
parking lot, and a parking lot can contain many parking matrices, and then we could create a garage, a parking garage, or a parking lot. Maybe this matrix should be named parking lot, and then the parking garage would have many parking lots. That makes more sense.
Yeah, because each floor then would be its own lot in the garage.
Okay. And I did that rename from IntelliJ because I don't trust it on the VS Code side. I'm sure it's fine, but I feel safer here to do it there. But anyway, so let's see what it generated. I like to view the code in IntelliJ also because it makes me feel more comfortable. My bad, got distracted. Um, the first thing that kind of like blared at me was this. I do not like private static final double. I don't like the use of static ever. Like that's disgusting to me. So how do we fix that?
Does it have to be private? Can it just be an enum?
Yeah. What would the enum be?
All right.
You think so? You might be right. You really might be right. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I'm thinking. We'll go with that. No. Let's not go with that. I don't want to over-engineer it because then Castro gonna be like, yo, what the fuck is this thing? Why didn't you? Look, I'm thinking what we could do is we could just go into here, and we could set the rate to be these respective values. We could set it to be 2, 3, and 4. And no, I'm not gonna use the ordinal because I think that's a little bit weird here. What do you think of that? So a size now has a rate rather than us creating a car rate enum, which then has small, medium, large. I just made it so that the size enum has a rate. What do you guys think of that?
It keeps from rewriting the small, medium, large stuff in a second enum.
Well, what's the issue?
Enum we already have.
Tell me about the issues. That's cool, but what's the issues?
The issue here or in the enum?
In the enum.
I'm missing. Why did you change it to rate again?
Change what to rate here? Right at that. You mean I added rate? Rate wasn't a variable, right? It was like this. And then I added rate so that we could keep track of because Cursor suggested this. Cursor suggested small car rate, medium car rate, large car rate. I don't like the keyword static. I also don't like this repetition of small, medium, large with no coupling to the actual size small, medium, large. That makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable because then somebody else could come in and add a extra large here without ever adding an extra large here to accommodate the system respectively. So and also I just don't like the keyword static. It's a violation of object-oriented principles. So so Andrew made a good suggestion saying, hey, maybe we make a car rate class, but then the car rate class would have to take an argument of a size so that we have those two things coupled together because of the thing that I said before. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, well, why not just have a rate field inside of the size enum?
Okay.
My concern is this. What if at some point we decide that sizes aren't necessarily coupled to rates? We know that the rate is coupled to a size. Okay, that's a fact. But we're coupling the size to the rate here as well as the rate to the size with this orientation. With Andrew's orientation making the car size a separate class. Let me just ask Cursor to write this because I'm where is it? I meant to say car rate. Damn it. Let me just write this out by hand so stop being a lazy ass. Anyway, having the car size be a separate class, which then takes an argument. There would be a respective small, comma, medium, comma, large. There's a more elegant way to do that. We could just say small, comma, medium, comma, large. Is there an even more elegant way to do that? There's a more elegant way to do that. And no. We'll just do this. Small, medium, large. And we can have a method called public. This is the car rate, by the way, not the car size. Get public double get rate. Yeah, I can't really get around that, huh? No, I can. I'm thinking about how I can get around this. Hold on. We can get around this by saying size, and I'm gonna rename this to car size because that makes me feel better. We could say get rate takes an argument of the car size, and I also don't like switch cases, so we're not going to use a switch case here because that would make us insane. Instead, we're going to say 2, 3, 4, create a respective constructor for the value of the rate. This dot value is equal to value. We'll also create a respective getter for that. Oh, no. Get rate is going to do that for us. And we're going to say, hey, car rate, get the value of the size that's passed in. Size.name. And that will give us back the value. Yeah. What do you think of that? That should be a brain buster.
So now the two are coupled without being kind of like linked the way they were before.
Without being bidirectionally coupled, it's just it's a one-way coupling. So now car rate is coupled to car size, but we can now remove the rate from car size so that car size is not dependent on car rate. This just makes the system that much more flexible if we need to make changes later. So we still have the ability to do the same behavior, but we don't depend, the size isn't dependent on the rate anymore. Whereas before, with the design before, the size was dependent on the rate. A size could not exist without a rate, which is kind of silly because a size should be able to exist without a rate. Because if we want to reuse this size for some other reason within the system, we don't want to have to go back and get rid of the rate associated with it or just ignore the method, which is like the worst thing you can do. Not the worst thing, but I just hate it. It makes things like the linked list or the array list, if you ever used that before. Oh, go ahead.
Weren't we the ones that introduced the rate in the first place?
That we introduced the what?
The rate.
Yeah.
And now we went pretty much back to just having the enums.
Yeah. I wanted to that's why I wanted to start with that one first, because that one was the simpler solution to go with, and it's like the simpler solution and it feels the most elegant at first, but without having the foresight of how they should be coupled or really noticing how they are coupled, you don't even notice, oh shit, I just coupled these things so closely together that one can't exist without the other.
So you pretty much put it together to then decouple them.
Exactly. I coupled them together just so we can show the decoupling process.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, look.
Yeah. Yeah.
See why I'm sometimes not a fan of
yeah.
the whole Uncle Bob and all these abstraction.
What do you think Uncle Bob would say? You say he'd go with the car size, or you think he'd go with the just add the rate to the I would go with the car rate, or just add the rate to the car size?
I'm not even sure.
To me, I think if we were to try to add the rate right here in the car size, that's being overly dry, bro. Like that's like, oh, I don't want to repeat no code at all. But at least with the car rate, we're like, okay, small, medium, large. We're gonna repeat that because it makes sense here. It doesn't make sense to abstract it at that level and be like, no, we're gonna make sure that we never say small, medium, large again. We're like, no, we can say small, medium, large again. That's an okay, acceptable piece of redundant code.
I guess my question is, what is? I guess I missed it, but what is the difference between just either leaving it as a normal? What is that? A regular enum versus now making the enum equal a double.
So we're looking at car size and car rate. Car rate depends on the car size. So I don't know how much you're gonna pay to be parking in the parking garage, but if you come in here with a big car,
so the rate is actually the price.
yeah, the actual price.
I missed that.
Yeah. Right? I mean, you're driving a truck, so like the trucks, they probably cost more money than a regular car to park somewhere, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
No?
A used truck. What, the truck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much a used truck with probably like 200,000 miles. It costs you anywhere from like 15,000 and up.
Dang.
Just used truck.
No, I'm saying to park. You're on mute.
Yeah, sometimes this thing gets stuck. I don't know. Oh, it's a park. You could find a place for like $200 a month.
Okay. That's still pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm thinking so. I think those would be like extra large for sure. We could rate it at 5. That's cool. Okay, I'm liking the system so far.
So a question, cause
yeah.
So how do you get past your own biases and feedback loop? Because so far, I mean, obviously you're the instructor, but I see that you're so used to following these patterns, and pretty much no one is going to kind of
question it.
Is that the word?
Yeah.
Question you.
Yeah.
Because you're like, does this look good? And I mean, pretty much, this is not the way I do things. So this is your approach, and you're saying, hey, this is what works.
Yeah, so like that's why I keep asking for feedback, because I want you guys to tell me about the drawbacks. I want you to tell me about the advantages, right? And the objective based on Weiler's assignment yesterday was to design I'm assuming a very flexible parking lot system. I assume flexible because he said it was a pretty open-ended assignment, so they're going to want to see how you create these flex points. Things like interfaces, but only where it's necessary, probably. They don't want to see it overly abused. They don't want to see anything overly abused, but they want you to justify why you make the decisions. So as I make these decisions, I'm asking you guys, like, what's the issue with this? Why is this better? Why is this worse? Now, the car rate thing is worse to me because it's extra code, it's an extra class, it's extra shit to maintain. But the car size thing to me makes me feel even more uncomfortable because it's coupling these two different ideas, concepts within the application together. And I fear that if the client has a future request on how to treat the car size that's independent of the car rate, I fear that we'll have to do a lot of extra work, aka technical debt that we'll have to get through in order for us to accommodate our client. Whereas this will still satisfy the client on their end. They'll still see the same experience. But if they have a decision that they make later that we need to make a change on, this will allow us to easily do that part of our job. Furthermore, if they have some sort of change that they want to say about the car rate in particular and how it behaves with respect to a car size, at least we have a separate class where we can maintain that set of code too.
Which I feel like it's fine because in reality, what only thing that could change is possibly the rate, unless just the rate.
Yeah.
Because the size is always going to be the same unless they move to a different location and then they decide to expand it a bit, expand the size. But again, the rate is just going to increase because if the size increases, the rate is going to increase. If they move it somewhere else where it's more expensive, the price is going to increase. So what I only see changing is just the rate.
That's what I understand that. I also don't have any foresight on how it could change. However, here's what I will say. When I asked ChatGPT to make this change respectively, here's what its feedback was, independent of any bias, because all I put here was that. Hold on. Yeah, I guess it wasn't independent because it says here this will clean up the can fit in method.
I thought you said it. You were pretty much you were telling me earlier, or I guess that wasn't for chat. That was just cursor.
Yeah. Not independent bias then. Here's what it says though. It says by introducing number of cells field into size enum, we can make the logic in CanFitIn cleaner and more scalable and more maintainable. Here's the updated size enum. Explanation. Each size now has an associated method. I want it to explain why is this why is this not is this a better, how should I ask this, Castro, because I don't want to ask it in a biased way.
Well, I guess my question is when is it ever enough? when is ChatGPT gonna, does it or can it say, hey, this is as good as we can get?
Well, I don't think because I don't think that it's gonna be it'll ever be able to say this is the best piece of code that it can be. But I do want to just ask it like a just general question about what just happened with the code and why it's advantageous and why it's not. I'll ask it like that. Why is this advantageous? And why is this not? But your question about how do I get past my own biases, for me, it's a balance between memory usage and flexibility of system. But mostly I prioritize flexibility of system because a person once said, don't worry about performance until the client complains. Advantage. The advantage is that it's clean, generalized logic. It's more scalable, it says. It eliminates hard-coded comparisons. And it encapsulates the logic. Doesn't that already say that? Okay. The potential disadvantage is that it overgeneralizes. It has a loss of semantic clarity. Magic numbers risk. Oh, because if the number of cells isn't well documented or intuitive, it becomes a magic number, leading to a confusion. Is it literal space? Is it relative priority? Is it based on car length or width?
So chat is telling you you're doing too much.
Let's see. Hold up. Should we make the change? It says make the change if you want your code to scale easily, if you prefer a declarative math-like logic over procedural if-else logic, if the car to spot fit rules are simple and based solely on size, if you want to reduce duplication and centralized logic, if the team is comfortable with slight abstraction and enums. Okay. Now it says don't make the change if you expect the fit rules to evolve in non-linear ways. For example, electric cars must go in a specific medium spot with a charger. Damn. Or if you want maximum clarity and don't mind repeating logic. Or if your enum values are few and unlikely to change, which is true. Your system is Don't make the change if your system is educational or for interviews and explicit logic is easier to explain. My recommendation is, based on the context, Since this is an interview style parking lot OOP challenge, I recommend to make the change and use the number of cells. Why? Because it shows thoughtful abstraction. It eliminates the hard coding, which is often praised in interviews. It still keeps the code readable. If an interview asks, how would you scale it? You already did. And do you want me to show how the rest of the classes will look after this change? Yeah. What do you think?
The one thing that it said that it was saying that it, so I guess to make it a little more simpler, you could repeat yourself. Is that what it was saying?
It said, yeah, it said if you don't mind repeating yourself. I don't know why it's saying that though.
And you said something earlier. Pretty much, don't worry about abstraction unless the
Performance.
complaining about performance.
No, don't worry about performance unless the client complains.
But then at that point, you have to decouple a lot of things, or you just have, or it can't, or I'm not decoupled. You have to couple things.
No. You have to optimize. That all you have to do is you just have to optimize. Like I'm streaming. I'm just gonna say it, whatever. I'd be real careful about what I say when I'm streaming for Twitch and YouTube about Chase. But anyway, I work on the mobile application. I'm on the first team, so we have 6 teams that divvy up this responsibility. I spearhead this application, and I'm the lead developer on it. And I'm saying all this because performance is taken very seriously. When you're wondering, okay, what part of the application are you guys really working on, Leon? We're working on the transactions. Okay, so we literally handle people's transactions. And so performance is extremely, extremely important to us. They never stop me from creating a new class. They never stop me from adding a spot where I'm going to instantiate an object. Because that type of performance hit is very, very negligible. What we're really looking for when we optimize things are ways that we can parallelize things, ways that we can reduce the amount of iterations. That's critical. Reducing the number of iterations, making sure that you don't reiterate on something. Or if you do have to reiterate on something, making sure that it's cached and ready to go. But as far as like instantiating a new object, it's not bad. It's not bad so long as you're mindful of the things that are happening underneath the hood. For example, is it going to have, if we go back to the way the application we just wrote, is there going to be a respective double 1, 2, 3, regardless of whether or not we create this enum? Yes, there will be a respective double. I say double because this could be like a database connection or something like that. If it's a database connection, shit, we need to be careful about how many times we instantiate it. If it's a database connection, we need to figure out some way to have a singleton reference to it so that we never have to reconnect to the database again, because that's a crazy performance hit that we have to take. But something like this, where it's just a double value, ultimately a reference in memory, or if it's just an allocation of memory, it's so negligible with how much time that actually is going to take away from us, unless we're working on something like the Java ME, the the Java Micro Edition. But we're not working on Micro Editions. Most of the time when we're working in Java, I feel like we're doing things in a way that we intend to scale as much as possible with as much flexibility as possible, while still maintaining boundaries and restrictions for what the developer can and can't do. And that last part is what really separates Java from Python and JavaScript. But sorry if I went on a rant. But hopefully that like gives you clarity on like the actual like the types of performance that we're looking to optimize on. Even in the case of this car rate, if you look at it, we are creating a new class. That is true. However, this is an enum, so technically each of these are are public, static, final instances. They're only being created one time in memory. We've literally not created any additional objects other than a single wrapper for the double value. For each respective double value, that is. So it's not like we're creating a new instance of a car rate. If this was a class like this, like car rate class, and we like iterated through everything, and like each car size had an instance of a car rate, and each car had an instance of a car size, that would be expensive. But because these are enums, they're static references in memory anyway.
Well, I guess I need to stop watching so many gamers, or not gamers, people that actually work on games, because that's pretty much what they're always concerned about.
Yeah, but their code sucks.
Huh?
Firstly, people that do games, I feel like one, their code is not clean, and two, games are generally not very they're not that performant. Yes, I understand you're saying, well, yeah, they have to be as performant as possible. They do have to be as performant as possible. It's true. I just find that when I'm playing a just general Joe Schmo game, that shit is like, is it really that performant? Am I impressed with the performance of the application? Personally, not personally too impressed with it. I suspect that what's happening is they don't encapsulate things well enough, so then they end up repeating things and creating additional objects, to be honest. But I don't know. I gotta watch some of these gamers do what they do. I like to centralize all of my code in one place so that the only possible optimization that there could be is to just unallocate memory. At which point, it's like, if that's the optimization I'm competing with, somebody unallocating memory, man, bro, what are we doing? Math? Like, nah. I'm gonna push this up, and I don't know. Why not? All right, I think we're gonna cut it short. Not a lot of people joined, so enjoy the sun, y'all.
All right. See you next week.
Yeah, I'll see y'all next week. Thanks for that. Thanks for putting us on with Cursor too, Castro. That just makes my life so much easier with just getting through these examples and stuff.
You went from a non-user to pretty much probably subscribing to it.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that joint's nice. All right, y'all.
All right.